Thank you, Dr. Kavita, for giving me this opportunity to conduct this question and answer session. First of all, I would like to thank all the panel members for enlightening us with so much of knowledge. Now, we will go ahead and take some time for questions. I request all the participants to type their queries in the chat box along with the name of panel member. It looks like we already have few questions in the chat box. So the first question is for Mr. Vikram, and the question is, how to weigh a startup before investing money in it?
So I think as Devesh and Archit both have covered it aptly that what exactly investor looks in the company, and also Nikita has covered it very well. That team, your problem is very need to be have a scale like where it can reach out to masses. But I have a little bit different opinion. It need to solve the correct problem. You can achieve the scale through your grit and your hustle, but at the start you need to have a correct problem to solve and a correct team in place. Over the period of time, more of a one more I would like to add a point is here, you may not have a right team at the correct at the start itself, but you need to know that you will need a team. You shouldn't be thinking that I am the one person who will lead an entire show. You should be knowing that you are going to need a multidisciplinary team or different areas to scale your startup. So that's definitely one thing investors look for, whether your initial team understand that very well, and your problem is scalable, and you know that how you would scale this, because whatever you start on your day one is not going to be how your startup will look in 4 or 5 years. It will look totally different.
Thank you so much, sir. The next question is also for Mr. Vikram. Do you think after the pandemic, the need for healthcare startups has increased?
Yeah, I think definitely pandemic made that switch in the mindset that a lot of things which were initially taken as like this won't happen through the use of internet, or this is not possible for me, over the period of 1.5 2 years, like everybody realized, oh, this is doable. I think the few best example is like online payments started happening significantly higher. Healthcare needs are, most of the time healthcare needs have moved to online channel, like where every time consultations were not happening online, for the both side, receiver and the doctor side, both were very skeptical about how would this work, but the pandemic has just pushed it far ahead.
Thank you so much, sir. The next question is for Mr. Devesh Chawla. And the question is, what are the sources of external financing used by innovative startups?
So there are multiple sources, external funding sources used by these startups. Let me articulate a few for you. One is one can actually go for grants. So today there are multiple grants given by a lot of incubators and even government bodies where you can take grants. So that is one source of external funding. Second, you can of course go for a VC or an angel round of funding, which is easily available. Third, you may want to do a crowdsourcing or a crowdfunding for your business. Of course, crowdfunding is not legal in India as of now. Only reward-based crowdfunding is legal yet in India, but still you can figure multiple ways of doing crowdfunding if you are registered outside India as well. Or in India, you can do a crowdfunding, but in a form of an equity fundraising. So you have to get innovative there in raising funds. A fourth thing that you may want to do is maybe do it through iSafe notes. That is another way that you can use external funding. And the fourth is maybe you can use it through a debt syndication. So these are the 5 different ways that you can use external funding to fund your innovative startups. Hope that answers your question.
Thank you so much, sir. That was a very elaborative response. And the next question is for Mr. Apoorv. And the question is, what factors should we consider while sharing the equity of a startup for funds accumulation?
Okay. So first of all, you understand, you just don't talk in terms of equity. you start, understanding the share divide of the company, right? So you don't just give 10% of your company to someone, give certain amount of shares, which give them certain rights to your organizations. Now, at an early stage, as Devesh shared, there are multiple avenues where you can raise your investment. I would recommend you to avoid equity investments as your first level of investment, right? As you have grants available, right? You have multiple, um, multiple other sources of capital available to you, like friends and family, that you can actually participate in certain competitions. If you want to go for an equity kind of investment, then again, it would be recommended that you use these convertible notes, which are not evaluating or doing a valuation of your company at a very early stage, and that is being evaluated at the next round of your investments. So, and another thing is, whenever you actually go for a equity investment, there is this document called SHA, shareholder agreement, right? Now that agreement is kind of the terms and conditions which you agree while taking an investment from an investor, right? And that document is basically created from a perspective to safeguard your interest as well as investors' interest. Now, most of the founders, what they do is they just sign that document, right? Just please make sure that you go through all the terms and conditions very, very carefully, right? And most of those conditions, if you just Google them, because it's quite kind of standardized now, you'll find that what they exactly mean and what the future impact of those conditions are going to be, on your startup. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you so much, sir. I think Dr. Aparna Mishra wants to ask something. Ma'am, please go ahead. Ma'am, you are on mute.
Am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Avi. Hi, Devesh. This question goes to you. Basically, I just wanted to know regarding this going for the funding of the startups. As you said, there is a race. People think of an idea. They try to do brainstorming with the idea, and the first thing that comes into their mind from where they seek the funding. So, what do you think? While going for these funding, these startup businesses, they're struggling a lot. The right agency at the right time, as you said, and to the right person that they should be approaching for. So what is your take on this? Going for a funding and liquidating the equity holding of the company, which is, I was going through one of the research article and I found this finding that mostly people are so vulnerable while they're going for the funding and going into the race of funding. They don't bother about liquidating their or compromising with their equity holding. So what's your take on this? I just wanted to know.
So, your equity funding is the most expensive kind of funding that you can do, because equity has higher rate of interest compared to debt, because your equity it can go to any level, right? So today your equity, your 5% value of equity in the company may be worth, say, 5 crores. Tomorrow down the line, it may be 50 crores. So for instance, when Walmart took over Flipkart, both the brothers, Sachin and Binny, had a cumulative holding of 6 to 7% in the company, which was amounting to 15,000 crores. So you can imagine, once you give this equities, how expensive vis-a-vis taking a debt from the market, which can be anywhere between, say, 11 to 15%, right? So it always makes sense to be very prudent with your equity dilution. Having said that, sometimes you have to dilute equity to get strategic money on table. So what I mean by strategic money is, you don't get money just for running your business. You get money with a smart brain who can help you grow your business either through his or her domain expertise or the network. So one has to, of course, think twice before diluting equity. But once you're dilute equity to smart money or strategic money, which can add value to the business, and then let it grow. Other way to not dilute equity at an early stages, maybe go through a convertible note, which says that you decide what is a small coupon that you give for the money that you're taking. And eventually, once you raise a larger round, at that point of time, you convert that note into an equity at a discounted rate, right? So I think that is another way you can hold on to equity right now and let the right valuation come in, and then you go ahead with that. Hope that answers your question, ma'am.
Yeah, of course. I'm convinced and well said. I think so. People should always think about before diluting their ownership, like this can affect their business later on. So thank you so very much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir. Now I request Dr. Dimpy to go ahead with her question.
Thank you so much, Avi ma'am. And good afternoon, Devesh sir. My question is for you, or again for you, sir. The question is that the ventures performance and the venture success depends upon the idea validation, that how well they have validated their idea. But the problem here is the budding entrepreneurs do not know how to check the validity of that idea. So can you suggest us some ways to check the validity of that idea, or how to validate that idea?
So, what one can do is, so let's assume you have thought of a product which you want to launch in the market. Now you create a set of questions around that and go and meet your customers. Now let's assume you are in the B2C space. You at least have to reach out to nothing less than 500 customers. Even 100 customers is small sample size. Reach, and this, what I'm going to tell you how to validate your idea, may be a time consuming process, but that will save a lot of time, energy, money in the long run. So if you can put in those efforts in the first initial months, you're going to save a lot of time, energy, money in the coming months, years for that matter. So the first thing is you figure out what is your product. You figure out who are your end customers. You reach out to those customers, go with your product and tell them these are the features of my product. How well do you like this product? Take a feedback from them. You have some customers who will say that this is an awesome product. Some will say it's a bad product. Whatever they say, you keep working on it and keep it ready. Then you move back to your customers again with the final product with their suggestions. Reach out to them, take the opinion until you're satisfied with their answers and they are satisfied with your product. Great. So you know that what is there in a product that was missing. So you have added. If your product had too many features and was too cluttered, it has been reduced and become a more user-friendly product. So first clarity comes there. Second, you again reach out to your customers and say, you like my product, will you purchase it? Mostly the answer should be a yes. Ask them what's the price you're willing to pay and understand what's the amount of money. Take a, crowdsource the pricing from your customers and come to a price as long as you're making at least a 20 to 30% margin on it. What usually happens is, so for instance, a product is selling in the market for 100 rupees from a brand, okay? Your product, the manufacturing cost is just 25 rupees and somebody is saying we'll pay 40 rupees for the product. You're having easily a good margin on that. You should be more than willing to sell that product. But usually what happens with entrepreneurs is they're like, the brand is selling for 100, why should I sell at 40? I can sell at least at 80 rupees. But the point is that brand has got loyalty of customers. The brand has built its name. It has got an after sales service. It has been doing a lot of other things to build its IP. So there are multiple other things that adds to the cost and the selling price of a brand, for which it might take time for a newbie. So for a newbie, what they should do is, as long as they have a 20 to 30% margin, they should go ahead with that. So that's the second way to validate your product with the pricing. The third point is a little cumbersome, but if you do that, that will actually make your life much, much simpler, which is you actually go to your customers and you tell them, you like my product, you like the price, which we said, would you pay me a 10% advance for this product and I'll deliver this product to you in the next, say, 1 month's time. Now, what's happening here is there are 2-3 things happening. So first is, many a time customers tell you your product is very good for a simple reason. They don't want to sit with you and discuss why it is bad, because every time they're going to tell you why the product will not work, you are going to spend another half an hour, 1 hour with them to explain why a product is good. Because for every entrepreneur, their baby is the best baby and they don't think anything's better than that. And the customer does not want to waste that much of time with you. So sometimes just to shoo you away, the customer might say that, it's a good product, we'll buy it from you. And once you go to them after a month to sell the product, they're like, we don't need it, we don't have the money, or this is not good, now new things have come in the market and etc. etc. They might not buy the product. So all your efforts that you've put in may go down the drain. So the first thing, if you go and ask them for a 10% advance for your product, you're sure that they're giving you good feedback and they genuinely want to buy a product, because there's a human psychology. The human psychology is the pain of losing 10% is much higher than the gain of getting 90%. And I would substantiate that with an example. Let's assume you have a Paytm wallet and you have, say, for example, 50 rupees there, right? I say that, today your Paytm account is going to lapse. If you don't use this money, it will just be lapsed. I'm sure everyone today present here, the first thing they would do is purchase something worth 50 rupees from Paytm. चाहिए नहीं चाहिए, वेस्ट क्यों करें, हमारा पैसा है वो, राइट? नहीं करना है. On the contrary, आप रास्ते पे चल रहे हो और आपको 500 रुपए का नोट मिल जाए, राइट? एंड वो 500 रुपीज का नोट आप क्या करोगे? जितना मैं समझता हूँ 90% जो लोग हैं इस प्लेटफॉर्म पे आज, वो लोग 500 रुपए किसी गरीब को दे देंगे, बोलेंगे हमारा किस्मत का तो है नहीं है, 500 रुपया हमको रास्ते से मिल गया, किसी गरीब को, जरूरतमंद को दे देते हैं. Now what is happening here is the 10% of 500, which is just 50 rupees, the pain of losing that is much higher, right? You don't want to lose that. You just want to spend that money on a single day. On the contrary, 500 rupees, which is 90% more than that 50, you would not want to keep it because you're not happy with the gain of that 90%, right? The pain of 10% is higher than the gain of 90%, and you give it away to the customer or to the needy. Similar point I'm trying to build here is that what you're doing over here is you are trying to understand the human psychology. If somebody's paid you 10% advance for your product, they are not going to shoo you away when the next time you come with the product, they're going to pay you the remaining 90%. And the third point here is, for an entrepreneur, the two things very important. One is you need to be very strong on integrity, and the second is you need to be a very good salesperson. So an entrepreneur should be able to sell an ice to an Eskimo or sell a comb to a bald person. In this case, you've sold a product even before the product is launched. So you're a good salesperson, you've shown your sales skills ability, right? So of course, the third point is a tough one where you take a 10% advance, but the benefits are what I just talked about. But the first two ways will definitely ensure you that you validate your product. A little long one, but I hope that answers your question, man.
Thank you so much, sir. What a detailed explanation of the validity of the idea. I hope all our participants must now understood very well that how to check the validity of the idea, whether the idea is workable or not. Thank you so much, sir.
Most welcome.
Thank you, sir. That was quite insightful. Asjad, sir, please go ahead with your question.
Thank you, ma'am. My question is to Apoorv, sir. Mr. Apoorv. Sir, 77% of the venture capitalists believe that we lack unique business models. So what are the different challenges that we face? Why our startups are not being so much successful? So first question. The second question is, sir, that when should we work up for startup? That means what should be the age bracket or anything for us to work up for startup? So this is my two question to you. Can you please
Both are
do the
quite
deliberation?
interesting questions, sir. From a startup perspective, honestly, there is no particular age, right, to startup. So I have met people in their late 60s who are starting up, and I have met people in their teenage who are starting up, right? And both is equally good. Statistically, if you talk about successful founders in India, specifically in India, the average age comes around 35 to 40 years of age. The reason being because they start at this stage, you might already have some sort of experience. You might already have done something in your professional life, and you might be venturing into the same field. That's why, and you have of course gain some more maturity to manage money. So that's why the success rate becomes slightly higher. But honestly, there's no age as such, right, for starting up. As far as venture capital investing is considered, India is growing at a very fast stage, and if you see the venture capital industry, how it is transforming. I was in this round table on the economics of India, right? And to my surprise, almost 62% of FDI in 2021 came in the VC and PE industry, right? That's foreign direct investment of India, right? That's a huge number, right? Plus, India in itself is such a diverse country, right? That we have people equal number of people using luxury cars and cycles in this country, right? Every few hundred kilometers, the whole culture changed, right? So it's a very diverse country, and it's a very good place to build, products for a global audience, right? So you can build products for emerging countries here in India. You can build products for very developed countries as well. As you see that a lot of SaaS products have been created with a global vision, right? So innovation is happening, and it's happening at a very rapid stage. That and the proof is, of course, in the kind of investments which we are seeing, right? So last year in 2020 versus 2021, the investment is 3x in India, right? You see the number of unicorns which are coming, and then there's the thing that momentum builds momentum. So the next generation of entrepreneurs, which we are seeing, are not buying these big lands, and they are not investing their money in gold. They are reinvesting in the startup ecosystem, which is again building the momentum. So I think this is a great time to start up for anyone, right? From the innovation perspective, and from the overall investment perspective, I'll honestly tell you, investment is just a byproduct, right? So if your product is doing good, people are actually loving it, the customers are actually buying it, the investment will follow you automatically. The founder does not actually, have to go out in the market and pitch for the product. Investors will come themselves. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Apoorv. Now I request Dr. Suniti ma'am to ask her question.
Good afternoon, Apoorv sir. This question is for you because nowadays everybody wants to start their startup. Not only I'm talking about the youngsters, but every age wants or they are motivated to start their venture. So one first question is how we can motivate ourselves regularly or continuously after failing also that we can start our own venture, number one. Number two, after facing some troubles or challenges also, we know the trouble is there and then also we are going to fight with that. And third, what are the main industries which is growing very well and we can give or we can motivate our student to go on those fields?
Wow, great questions, ma'am. So honestly, we are in a great era now, right? Startups have become mainstream. So I still remember back like 6-7 years back, at least in middle class family, it is not acceptable that you are leaving a job, right? Or you're not going for a government job, you're leaving your campus placement, starting something of your own. But now people know about startups and the career opportunities and the future scope of it. So honestly, we are in a great era right now. People have started accepting it, and there's a great source of knowledge available online. There are so many people who are there to support you in your journey. Right, so we are in a great place. Students want to start something, nothing like that. Start early, try out things. If you're failing, that's okay, right? Another thing which we need to understand is ventures fail, entrepreneurs don't fail, right? So entrepreneurship takes a lot of courage, right? And in even in early days of your career, if you are starting up something or if you are working very closely with the startups, right, the kind of exposure it gives to a student, right, the kind of exposure it gives to a professional is very different, because you are technically working on all the avenues or all the verticals of a particular business. So you are doing the marketing, you are looking the operations, you are hiring people, right? You are going and taking and searching for investors. So that's a kind of exposure which supports the thought process very well, right? So to motivate oneself, I think one thing which is very important is just consider it as an investment on yourself, right? Even if things are going if things are not going the way you imagine them to be, right, it's an investment on yourself, and it will definitely pay you in future. Second is I've seen this trend where people kind of are glamorizing stress and glamorizing I mean being constantly in a phase of struggle, right? So just don't get carried away by that, right? Make a good plan for your business, right? Make a good plan for your health as well, right? Because entrepreneurship takes a high emotional toll on you, right? So just make sure you're balancing out things, and you're not just getting carried away by these media news, or by peer pressure that so and so entrepreneur is working for 16 hours a day or 17 hours a day, and I'm just working for like 9, 10, 11 hours a day, or whatever the number may be. It does not matter, right? So keep a good balance, keep yourself motivated, right? And try to take small steps, right? One another thing which entrepreneurs at early stage usually don't do is that they make very, very aggressive and big goals, that down the line 3 years I'm going to be unicorn. That's good, that's a good vision. But now, what as an entrepreneur, what you need to understand is what you're going to do next week, right? So take these baby steps, right? Which kind of paramounts to a big pyramid in the future.
And please let me know the fields where our students can move forward to start their own venture.
Ma'am, if you talk about the current venture capital industry, the current trends, I'll tell you from an investment perspective, healthcare, SaaS, financial services, right? Fintech, basically, right? These three are the main attractions right now. However, the opportunities are indefinite, right? So there are so many things in India which are still need to be solved. There's a huge gap between between what people earn, right? So between the poor and the rich, right? There are things like EV, electronic vehicles, the revolution. We should actually think about it as a country, right? We missed industrial revolution, we missed smartphone revolution. Now we should think about EV. Agriculture. We are a big country with so many people, right? How we are going to produce food, right? Space tech, right? People are actually building rockets, right? What you are going to do about it? So technically, industries are like unlimited. You have unlimited opportunities. How as an entrepreneur you should think about is do some more research, right? So if you are seeing something already coming in the newspaper, that means someone has already thought about it, done it, and have excelled into it, right? So that ship might have already sailed. If you want to do something innovative, and if you want to actually build something for the future, for the next 10 years, right, you should do more research, and try to find meaningful information out of it, and then try to build a startup.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
So maybe there's any other question, maybe let me know.
Yeah.
Also, I have
Thank you.
another meeting that I have to head for. So I'll be signing off right now. Thank you so much for this wonderful session. It was really nice interacting with all of you guys. But I'm signing off right now because I need to head for another one. Thank you once again to each one.